Welcome back to our Under the Knife episode with Brian McAuley. Brian, thank you so much for coming back to do an interview and talk about your work with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
I personally am very excited to have you. I know we're going to get into it, but I think I said on the live stream last time, I read Curse of the Reaper and was blown away, ripped through that book. And it was like 24 or 48 hours. I don't know. I remember reading it on breaks at work, just tearing through it because I thought it was so good. So good. And then I've read just about everything you've written since. Enjoy all of it. So I'm very excited to talk to you today.
Thank you. I love to hear that. I appreciate it.
And we have... Jessica,
I can corroborate that story because he told me to read your book 3 years ago and I didn't.
I did. I've been telling Jessica to read it for a long time.
She's
and
like,
Kelsi,
No, I bought it immediately and then never touched it.
Hey, I'm just incredibly honored and like fangirling because I have two of my favorite slasher authors in the same room right now. So
I know I'm such a huge fan of Jessica's slashers. This is such a treat.
Same. Fanning out over here. I love you guys. You guys' work is great.
Kelsi, when this goes out, I'll also send you the YouTube collaboration link so that you can put this up on your channel as well.
Yeah,
so
I'd love that.
We can split it that way. Awesome. All right, Brian. So to dig into questions, get into it. Let's go. I don't want to say let's start at the beginning, but what got you into writing? Where did you discover that this might be something that you wanted to do?
So, I mean, I always loved like stories and storytelling, and I do have a handwritten story that I wrote in grade school, which was my first piece of fan fiction, which is titled Tremors 3 Graboid's Revenge. So I grew up like obsessed with Tremors and Tremors 2, which I feel like doesn't get enough credit as a great part 2. But yeah, it's so funny. This piece of paper, like on lined paper that I wrote for grade school, like in my little childish handwriting, I wrote my 2-page Tremors 3 pitch. So I grew up loving like monster movies and reading, like I was a child of the 90s. So all the classic touch points of Goosebumps books, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, watching Are You Afraid of the Dark? But I also am grateful that I had a brother who was 7 years older than I was and showed me much harder horror movies than I was probably supposed to be watching at my young age. I remember watching Evil Dead at an age when I was way too young to watch Evil Dead, and also exactly when I was supposed to watch Evil Dead. So yeah, I feel like watching and reading horror immediately inspired me to want to start to write my own stories and conceive of my own, spooky tales. Like it just, especially the Are You Afraid of the Dark dynamic of like, I want to gather around the campfire and like do my version of this.
Speaking of Are You Afraid of the Dark, I love Are You Afraid of the Dark and like anything nostalgic. So can you remember an episode that sticks with you like all this time later that you really liked and resonated with? I
mean, there's no denying that Curse of the Reaper is inspired by the tale of the ghastly grinner. That sort of cackling villain and the mixed media element of a fictional character crossing the border into real life. So like that story, that imagery, like really imprinted on me more than I think any of the others. Like I feel like that would be my top choice. There are plenty of others, like Dead Man's Float messed me up real bad. But yeah, that would be my top choice.
That was iconic, yeah.
That also answered a question I had about where did the ideas for Curse of the Reaper originate, and there we go. That's at least a little bit of it.
Oh yeah, there's plenty more, but I'll hold off.
Okay. Jessica, you have anything off of?
Oh God, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, but basically, what my question is, what's wrong with you? No, when I say that, I before this, I stalked you on the internet because I didn't know what else to do. So I stalked you on the internet.
Naturally.
And I listened to a podcast because somebody asked me to be on their podcast, and I always listen. And they did an episode with you, so I listened to yours. Smart.
Yeah.
You are intelligent. You are well educated, and you are out here writing garbage Freddy Krueger fan fiction. What? Why? What's wrong with you? Why make that choice?
I love that. Yeah. I mean, that's to me, that's a great question.
And I'm pretty much one of the only people that can ask you that.
Yeah.
Because, hi.
Now we've reached that level. Like the B horror stuff was the stuff that I was raised on. Like I remember like growing up on Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I've already mentioned Tremors, Evil Dead, that line between like schlocky and scary and funny, like that was and continues to be my wheelhouse of like pure joy. So I feel like for me, that was always what I wanted to be, the sphere that I wanted to create within. And, but also like, you know, in college, I was studying like psychology and literature and trying to figure out like what attracts us to horror. Like, why am I interested in this? What's so important about this genre? And so that I feel like is why my first novel ended up being this kind of like meta horror exploration of what is it about even the schlockiest of horror that there is something respectable and worth digging beneath the surface of, because I don't know, I think there's something to be said for like that there's depth beneath that exterior, as opposed to like going the like literary fiction writer route of being like a super pretentious person who thinks that they're talking about something important, but really is just being self-indulgent. Like I feel like horror really bridges that gap of connection of like, isn't this fun? Like, isn't there something worth talking about here and indulging in? Yeah.
That was a great answer.
That's why I asked that question. I knew it would be.
It's a great question.
Yeah. I wrote down the timestamp on that. That won't be in there.
Cool.
Okay, who had something? Jessica, did you want to keep going after?
Oh, I don't think that's a good idea yet.
Okay, not a good idea yet.
I got something if you want me
Yeah, go for it.
So I know you've already done a Christmas themed slasher, but was that because you really like Christmas, or do you have any other plans for the future? Maybe if you had the opportunity, would you do a slasher surrounding a different holiday? Would you choose Christmas over Halloween? All of the above, please answer.
Ooh, great question. So yeah, that came about with, you know, I had written Curse of the Reaper, and Alan at Shortwave Publishing reached out to me and said, hey, I'm starting this new novella line called Killer VHS. I only have the first book, but the idea is novellas that are in the spirit of Goosebumps, but for grownups. And so every author will be different. Every story will be standalone. If you want to do one, it will come out in the like November, December range of the year that we were talking about. And so my first reaction when I heard that was like, well, if it's November, December, like, could I write a Christmas slasher? And he was like, sure. Like, what did you have in mind? And I had nothing in mind at that point. I just knew that like, I love Black Christmas. I love that blend of holidays and horror. And so that kickstarted my brain. And I started with the name Candy Cane, Cain, because I was raised Catholic and had a not great experience being raised Catholic. So I was like, oh, Candy Cane as a candy, Cain as a biblical figure. That sounds like a slasher villain. Who or what is it? And I just built the story around that name. And it was so much fun to write. It was like immediate burst of just like, I see the story. I'm so excited to write it. And I'm grateful that it did well enough that Alan came back a year later and was like, want to do a sequel? And I was like, well, it's a slasher. So yeah, I do want to do a sequel. But I do have a book that's currently being read right now. Hopefully will sell and be published. That is a 4th of July set slasher. So we'll see. I do love, holidays and in general, just themes and locations. Like, like the first Candy Cane is very much a Christmas slasher. The second one, even though it takes place on Christmas Day, it's more kind of a church slasher. And then I did Breathe and Bleed Out as the wellness retreat slasher, and I have a Ren Fair slasher. So for me, holidays are part of that idea of like a thematic premise to work around, where you can kind of build creative kills around a location or a theme or a holiday. And I love all of that. Or a wedding, as Jessica did so wonderfully.
Or Flag Day.
That leads me to...
Anyone who knows me knows I'm not joking. I have a full one fleshed out.
I can't wait to read it.
Yes.
There's so much good imagery with flags and death. So that leads me to a question I had about when you start writing your slashers. Do you start with characters? Do you start with the setting? Do you start with, maybe it starts because you're like, oh, that'd make a sick kill. Like that'd be a great kill. Does it start there, or do you start with characters? How do you begin?
Recently, like setting has been like the jumping off point usually, but like, you know, Curse of the Reaper started with, it started as a feature length screenplay that I started working on back in like 2011. And that was right after the Nightmare on Elm Street remake happened. And so it was very much inspired by like, well, what if Robert Englund wasn't so happy about Jackie Earle Haley taking over the role? And
I'm so glad you said that, because I read that and I pictured, so the killer in that book is more of a Jason, I like a bigger burly character, but the way you wrote the actor reminded me very much of Robert. So yeah. I'm glad you said that. I wasn't reading into it too much.
Oh no. Yeah. I read his autobiography. I watched interviews with him, and I was like, he is such like a professional, classically trained actor. And I love that dichotomy of him playing such a schlocky slasher villain. And, yeah, it was just, so that was the kind of jumping off point for that. And then, as I mentioned, Candy Cane was like that jumping off point of a name and building around the Christmas theme. But yeah, Breathe and Bleed Out then was like, okay, what's a location I haven't really seen a slasher? And I've seen thrillers set at wellness retreats, but I haven't seen like people getting picked off one by one at that location. And for me, the creative kills are part of what makes me want to write a book. So it was like, okay, well, there's so many fun ways that I could kill people at a wellness retreat with all the spa features and the crystals and everything else. And similarly, I went to a local Renaissance fair last year, and my immediate thought was like, oh my God, there's so many ways people could be murdered here. Like I just have to do this. Yeah. And then it's kind of about reverse engineering the characters that best fit that setting and that story.
Okay. Excellent. I can't wait to read the Ren Fair one, by the way. I love
Me too.
When I lived in Chicago, there's a big Ren Fair up in Wisconsin that I went to multiple times this summer, and it is a great setting. So I can't wait to see what you do with it.
Thank you. Yeah, part of the fun there too was like, you know, even with like the wellness retreat was like, well, it's kind of a stand-in for a secluded sleepaway camp, right? Instead of cabins, they're in yurts and they're remote and they have no cell service. But the joy and the challenge of writing the Ren Fair book was like, oh, I want to set a slasher in a place with thousands of people in broad daylight where cell service works great. And yet there is this threat just picking people off on the sidelines. And like, what if you're the only one who realizes, especially in a place where performance is happening everywhere and people are like, well, no, that's not real. Like that was part of the fun of twisting that.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great, I think.
You're just selling me even more.
I know.
Pre-order. Is that link up, by the way?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's called Fairly Bad Ways to Die. And we just set the release date for April 6th, 2027. So should be more info and cover and everything else soon. I'm doing copy edits not as we speak, but right before we spoke.
Currently editing between questions.
Just like
never stop working. No.
Yeah.
So the thing that I've noticed, I feel like your books really read very fast, and Jessica's books are the same way. And I've actually talked to Jessica about this in the past. I think there are a lot of authors today who are more apt at being able to write a book that feels like you're watching a movie but in book form. I don't think so much if you like read a Stephen King book, yes, they can be adapted to great films, but they more take their time, they're more drawn out. I don't know if it's your experience of working with screenwriting, or maybe that coupled with your love of movies, and Jessica loves horror movies as well. Maybe that's what helps you guys be able to do this, but I don't think it's as wide of a skill as it should be. I think you two are two of the authors that are the best at it. David Sodergren, Adam Caesar. I feel like you guys are like some of the best right now who can do that. Do you often think about pacing and like kind of making it feel movie-like, or is that just natural, come from your experience loving movies?
Yeah, I feel like my influences are more cinematic than they are literary. Like I grew up, like I mentioned, reading Goosebumps and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. But there was a gap where I was not reading as much through high school and college. I was reading mostly what I was required to, but I was watching a lot of movies because I was really in film school for grad school and undergrad. And so my influences are very much come from film, and the pacing for me is so important. And there are many wonderful horror authors who lean more into kind of like atmospheric vibes, and they're not as kind of plot and pace oriented. But for me as a reader and for me as a writer, like keeping things like the page turning element is really important to me. I just really love that experience of, okay, I have a movie in my head as a writer, and my job is to somehow translate that to the page so that you can watch a movie also. And there's a balance. Like, I don't like to give too much detail about character appearances and settings and things, like just enough so that you can use that as a benchmark to create something in your own head, because I don't want to impose too much. I don't want to slow things down too much. And my first drafts tend to be really, really short. And then the second draft is where I flesh it out, and it'll kind of double in length to the appropriate length, because I just want to get those bones down and make sure I have the plot flowing. But I know a lot of writers who do the opposite, who write a really long first draft and a kind of indulgent, all the details, and then they trim it down. But I've never written that way, and I don't, it just doesn't work for me that way, which I love that every author has a different process. But I'm curious, Jessica, what your process is.
Almost exactly the same as yours. Reading Curse of the Reaper. I don't read slashers. As a rule, I pretty much don't, for a couple of different reasons. I told him one of them is I'm afraid of accidental plagiarism. Stuff doesn't stick 100% with me, but it haunts the back of my head and it comes back up. And I don't mind stealing stuff from like 80s movies or something, but I don't want to plagiarize anybody's book. I'm not interested in doing that. So I don't read slashers just for that purpose alone. But when I'm reading them, it's not a pleasant experience most of the time. Someone like Stephen Graham Jones, I have to listen to on audio and read at the same time to keep myself on track. Other times it's someone who is doing clunky stuff and I'm like, it just keeps taking me out. It just keeps taking me out. And I'm like, this just makes me want to go work. It doesn't make me want to read your book. It makes me want to go write a better one than this. Yours, it felt like you don't sound like me, but it felt like I could see you were all the same tricks. We learned from the exact same teachers.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how we both, because I've never written a screenplay ever. So we both just came from different angles, but we ended up at the exact same place. And I'm always thinking, I want it to be entertaining.
Yeah. I
don't think a lot of writers think about, we're trying to entertain people here.
Yep.
And, so, and I think that's my drive in keeping it fast and keeping it going. I don't want you putting down that book.
Yeah.
When I did read Curse of the Reaper, I did it in 3 huge chunks because I didn't want to put it down. Like the parts that I did read. So it's not like I'm like, it's you rewrote New Nightmare. It's really good.
Thank you. And I feel like that jumping off point, right? Of like, when you watch a movie and it's not quite what you want, you're like, okay, well, my version would be this. And I talk to my students about this all the time too, because I'm a screenwriting professor at ASU Film School. And I always tell them, like, lean into your influences. Don't be afraid to embrace them. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, figure out like the things that inspire you, and it's going to go through you as the lens. And yeah, like Curse of the Reaper is unabashedly me feeling like New Nightmare is a really fun idea, but like, why wouldn't we focus on the guy who played the monster? Because that who would be the most haunted. He's the one who brought that thing to life, and it would be part of his psyche, and just run with that. But yeah, it is. I think that entertainment quality is something that I agree. I think that some people think that like fun is like a bad word, and it's like, no, like fun is the point. That's like, and when people say like, I've had people say like, I read your book in one day, and like, I'm sorry if you don't like to hear that because you put so much work into it. And it's like, no, I put so much work into it so that you could read it in one day. That's the best thing possible to hear, because I want it to be fun and just like that you're breezing through it. I don't want it to be an arduous experience. Like who wants that?
I am someone who wasn't a reader really growing up. I kind of discovered my love of reading during the pandemic. And I gotta say, it's because I didn't know what books to try to read. Yeah. If I would have found you guys' books way sooner, I would have been like, hey, yeah, I'm a reader now.
Kelsi,
I feel like we want horror movie fans. I know
they did not exist.
I know they didn't exist, but if they did exist, I would have become a reader back then. But my point is, I want horror movie fans to like pick up a book and actually like it. I think that a lot of movie fans don't realize that there are books out there that can read like a movie. So anybody listening to this who's not currently a big reader, don't be put off because maybe you've tried something like, and I'm not trying to bash and pick on King, but he's just the easiest example to use. Because when you think
he's
about
a household name.
Well, yeah, when someone says, oh, do you have a horror section? And then the bookstore seller says, what do you mean, King? And it's like, no, I don't mean King. I mean like literally anything else. So a lot of readers, I think, are people, I mean, movie watchers who maybe want to dip their toe into horror reading. I think, you know, the big name is Stephen King, but if they found books that read more like movies, which they're already a fan of, horror movies, then I think they might actually find that they like reading. Because I like that entertainment factor. I think that's why I love both of you guys' books so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can say Kelsi and I and Jessica as well. Part of our goal on the Dread broadcast is to get more horror movie fans reading. And currently we're talking to, in my opinion, two of the best at bridging that gap between finding the enjoyment that you have watching those classic slashers or your favorite slasher, and then picking up a book and finding that same kind of, like you guys have said, fun, that entertainment. We're talking to two of the best right now. So you two really are. So yeah, I love what you're saying about fun. Jessica's heard me say this many times when I'm reviewing movies. Horror should do one of two things, if not both of them. And that is A, be entertaining, and B, be scary. If you cannot do one or the other, I have no interest in reading or watching what you're doing. If it's just depraved crap that isn't entertaining, that's not for me. I understand some people like that, but man, I see a lot of that floating around right now, and you guys have hit it with just watching those slashers is a fun comfort time for me, and you guys have nailed it with their comfort reads.
Yeah, I think that the bridging the gap of it all, I think slashers especially also can bridge the gap to thriller readers, which I especially saw with Breathe In, Bleed Out, of folks posting reviews who were like, I don't like horror and I definitely don't like slashers, but I loved this book. And I'm like, that's like, I wrote it for slasher fans. And I love when slasher fans are like, I got every Easter egg. I love this. This was written for me. Like, yes, it was. But those reviews of people who were like, this is not what I thought I would like, but I did like it, and now I want more. That's like music to my ears, because I think slashers, because they, you know, there are supernatural slashers, but by and large, they're a bit more grounded than like your average ghost story, your monster story, your cosmic horror. And so they can pull in those thriller readers who are like, okay, well, as long as it's quick paced and thrilling and it, you know, pulls me along, it's going to pull in more readers to the genre. And that's always my goal, is like, we want to keep luring people over that line and make them realize like, no, you like horror, you just haven't found the right gateway into it.
Yep. Brian's getting the thrillers. Jessica's bringing in the romance crowd. I love it. And Jessica and we had a conversation a couple weeks ago about, like you're saying, I think slashers really they can appeal to that Agatha Christie reader crowd. And I definitely, a good slasher book reads like a bloodier Agatha Christie novel. You know, it is a whodunit. The best ones are whodunits usually. We just reviewed The Burning, and that's one of the few where, like, you know who the killer is up front. There's no mystery under the mask, you know? So I love that whodunit aspect of it.
Yeah, that's been very fun for me. Like, you know, Curse of the Reaper, I often say it's not so much a slasher novel as it is a psychological horror novel about slasher movies. Like,
I would agree.
I kind of had my cake and ate it too by including those screenplay segments, because if you removed them, there wouldn't be any kills until the final stretch. But I was like, well, if we plug those in, you can get your bloodlust in along the psychological horror journey. And then the Candy Cane books are very much in that vein of the Freddy Jason, like, okay, we know who the killer is. But Breathe and Bleed Out was my first time saying, I want to write a slasher in the vein of Scream. And I Know What You Did Last Summer, where it is that whodunit. And it's so challenging though, because you have to like deal with like red herrings and thinking about, okay, who does the reader think it is at this juncture, and how do I guide them this way and make them think they're super confident, but all the while I'm doing this over here, waiting until this turn happens. And every book I've written since then, which is 3 more books that I've written, are all whodunit slashers, because I had just had so much fun doing that version of the slasher. But I love how versatile it is, because you can also have supernatural slashers. You can do so much within that genre.
Can. I've got actually a question from one of my Patreon members. I asked them if they had any questions they would like me to ask you. So my friend Christine, she's over on Instagram, for anyone listening, at Christine Cozy Corner, Christine with a C. She says, what is your latest 5-star read and your latest 5-star watch?
Whoa. Oh, hey, Christine. I know Christine. 5-star read and 5-star watch. Damn. Okay.
You liked Obsession a lot, remember?
That's the easy answer. I'm trying to think of, Obsession was an easy 5-star watch. 5-star, let me look at because I keep track of my reading list of what I'm reading this year, and that will surely spark the answer.
So organized.
I know. I try to. Oh yeah. Oh, so many. Okay. In the spirit of, Fatally Yours is on here. That's
Shut
an absolute. It is a 5-star read. Okay. This one fits as well. So Delilah S. Dawson wrote a novella called Guillotine. And I don't think it's technically classified as a slasher, but it's in that vein of like gnarly kills. It's a woman who gets invited by a man to like his family's island, super wealthy family. And then things go awry from there. It's kind of like Ready or Not plus slasher vibes. Yeah, that was a fantastic one. I also just read the Exquisite Corpses.
Yes.
Graphic novels. Is it James Tinian III? Is
that? James Tinian IV. But yeah.
Fourth.
Yep.
Got the number wrong.
I'm pretty sure.
Those are too many. Very slasher centric stories that are just so fun. I can't wait for the next volume of those.
James has a ton of great horror comics. He's really, really good at that. I haven't read Exquisite Corpses yet. Something is Killing the Children is great work by him as well. He's great at that stuff.
Yeah.
Also, you mentioned, I mean, I don't know if you're a fan of Giallo films, but you do mention it a little bit in your afterword. But I didn't know if you were like giving a little bit of history about what preceded the slasher, or if you actually do like Giallos. And if you do you have any favorites you can let us know about?
Oh, yeah, that was for me, you know, this is where I start to feel like the old man being like, back in my day, like before we had Netflix, you know, my brother was living in New York and took me to Kim's Video on Astor Place, which was like this old school video shop. And then also there was in a mall in New Jersey, there was a kiosk where a guy sold like foreign like DVDs that you could multi-region DVDs, so you could play them on your US DVD player. And so that was a time when, like, you know, this was before YouTube. This was when like I would buy, you know, Lucio Fulci's Zombie and watch it just because I heard that there was a scene of a zombie fighting a shark and a woman getting like a piece of wood splintered into her eyeball. Yeah. And you would watch the whole movie just to get to these little moments. And yeah, all of the Giallos, like the Dario Argentos, the Lucio Fulci's, opera was a big favorite of mine, of the Giallos, because there's some wild kill scenes in those that just like really stood out. And Deep Red, I just rewatched recently. That was another one that I loved. So yeah, that whole subgenre, again, it's that whodunit mixed with just really gnarly set piece kills. Yeah, and just like really fantastic cinema. Like I love when I rewatch Deep Red and it's like there's this POV shot where the killer is in the shot, but he has the confidence to just say like, you're not going to notice it until I call back later and slow it down and show you that like it wasn't a painting, it was a mirror. And like, what? Like, that is cinema, man. That's so good.
It is. And speaking of other favorites, I know you love Scream, and you do mention Scream in your author's note at the end of Breathe In, Bleed Out. But is that your official like number one favorite horror movie?
I think it would be impossible to say that any other one beats it for me. Like there was a time when like Texas Chainsaw Massacre was really important to me, and it still is. But especially as a writer now, like Texas Chainsaw to me feels like a fever dream that shouldn't exist on celluloid, and I love it as like this pure nightmare cinema experience. But Scream for me is the one where I just have that admiration on a writing level of like, man, he was so thoughtful about how he crafted that story, and Wes Craven was the perfect director to bring that heart to it. And it for me was such a turning point of realizing like, oh, I love this fear and this humor, and I want to go back and watch every movie that's referenced in this one. And so, yeah, I feel like there's no denying that was the most important horror movie to me.
Cool. I thought that would be the answer. You were wearing a Scream shirt on our podcast last time, so.
It's hard as the franchise drags on, but also I'm of the mindset that like it has to. That's the most meta thing for Scream to do, is become Stab. So like just let it go. I'm ready for the next one.
I've to that point, I've said many times that at this point, the Scooby-Doo or the Scream movies are just Scooby-Doo episodes. Yeah. I'm showing up to find out who's under the mask this time, and I'm going to enjoy the ride. It's going to be a good time. What's the setting this time? All of that. Just have fun with it.
100%.
Did you really not know who the killers were walking into the movie? Because I did.
Well, I like to think I'm going to be my expectations will be subverted, but
they keep using the most famous person they cast as the killer. Why is Anna Camp there if she's not the killer? Why is Ethan Embry there if he's not the killer? They even knew that people would know, so they had that third guy.
Oh yeah,
to fake us all out. Yeah. Yep.
But I have a bunch of questions to go along with that. I don't like asking people questions about themselves, but I've crafted a few that I will think that they're rapid fire. Just answer whatever, and I will know everything I need to know about Brian.
Wow. No pressure at all.
What do you consider to be the first slasher movie?
Oh, Bay of
that's
Blood.
where it's going. This isn't painful.
Bay of Blood, also known as Twitch of the Death Nerve. Mario Bava.
What is the best Scream sequel?
Oh. I mean, I have a soft spot for 4, but I feel like 2, Scream 2.
Okay. Who is the correct person to direct a new Elm Street movie?
That's not a fair question.
Yes, it is. Answer it.
Correct person.
There's many answers. I don't believe there's only one correct answer. I can think of like 2 or 3 I'd like to see.
Next Elm Street. Oh.
You've never thought about this.
I have trouble like trying to like copy paste and think about how would this person do this. I want to know your answers, but
the most obvious answer is Flanagan, but I'd like to see Jane Schoenbrunn. I'd like to see Jane Schoenbrunn.
Oh, that would be that mix of like surrealism. Oh, that would be so good. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's what we're gonna get from Miasma in some ways, but even though it's very Friday the 13th coded, it's gonna be very surreal. Oh, I can't wait for that.
Do you know what Jane said it's about? Like
No.
that, like, you know how it's about, it's about horror movies, blah, blah, blah. It's about dissociating during trans sex. So I think it's going to get real fucking weird.
I mean, I know because the killer is called Little Death and it's playing on like the orgasm. So I knew that much, but I did. Oh, yeah.
I tried to find, there was a tweet from right after I saw the TV Glow came out and went nationwide or whatever. And, they said something along the lines of, if you think that was great, my next one is about dissociating during trans sex. Jock Jam's theme song, ba-ba-ba-bow. So it's been stuck in my head, and when I saw the trailer, I was like, this is the Jock Jams movie.
Oh my God. Yes. Jock Jams. That's an incredible deep. Yeah. Wait, what's your favorite Scream sequel?
4, but 2 I think is probably the only other good one.
Yeah.
But I like them all.
See, I thought Brian almost said 4 when he first answered that, and 4's my personal favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one.
It's a good choice. I do wish they had kept some of the deleted scenes in it to really hammer home the like remake of it all, but I still love it dearly. It's great.
Okay. You didn't answer the question. Just saying.
Oh.
I said Scream 2.
No, the question about the Elm Street.
Oh, okay.
If you don't want to, you don't have to.
I'll throw out an idea.
Oh.
And say Guillermo del Toro.
Oh my God. Ooh. That would be too serious.
I know, it would be too serious.
No, I don't want to sit through that. I want something slightly stupid.
No, he would do practical effects.
Yeah.
Oh, that would look great.
Okay, worst Halloween timeline.
Listen, I was recently on a podcast where I got eviscerated for saying that I don't like the Halloween franchise.
I don't either. Go ahead.
It bores the hell out of me. So wait, what was the question? Worst Halloween timeline?
Of the timelines that they have set up. Which is the absolute worst.
I mean,
I will never watch the Rob Zombie ones again.
That's what I was going to say, is the Rob Zombies, I don't even feel like...
Halloween is a classic film that does not need to be an entire franchise. We have Friday the 13th for that.
Yeah. And
they do it better.
Yeah, none of the Halloween sequels are creative the way that Friday the 13th gets with them. And that's what just like they all blur together in like a nothingness that, it's not interesting.
Man, I'm in good company.
I think they're
I'm
boring.
glad to hear this. I'm glad to hear this because I've always like every time people bring up Halloween, I'm like, man, I really want to love these movies as much as you say you do, but I don't. I agree. I think I love the first one. I love Halloween. And then after that, I'm just like, meh, okay.
It's a great example of like where like the first one is the best. Like I think there are multiple Friday the 13th sequels that I enjoy way more than the first one. But Halloween, I'm like, the first one is a masterpiece and everything else. Also, like, he's the most uncreative when it comes to kills. Like, there are very few Halloween kills that stand out at all. And one of the reasons I got eviscerated was I said that my favorite Halloween sequel, discounting Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which is to me like a separate entity that I adore for its own reason.
Great movie.
But I like to defend Halloween Resurrection because I think that as far as
which one is that?
is
That's
that the found footage one?
The reality show set in Michael Myers' house that Busta Rhymes is in. And it gets so much hate. And of course I understand why. But for me, compared to how boring the other sequels are, like I like the full camp version like that is, and it has more creative kills. And the premise is great. A bunch of reality people with cameras going into Michael Myers' house compared to all the others that are just nothingness in terms of what.
Oh, fuck you, Brian. Now I have to watch.
Listen, take it with a grain of salt because I made you watch Swimming Pool. So
you didn't make me watch Swimming Pool. I made you watch Swimming Pool.
But I'll cut it out.
I have two more. One of those is actually kind of along the same lines of what we've been talking about. What's a really famous horror movie that everyone loves that you don't like? I'll name one. I don't have a problem.
Okay.
That you can acknowledge. You can acknowledge it's a good film. It's a masterpiece, but it is not for you. I don't like Alien.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. So, what do you not like?
Wait, can I ask, do you like Aliens?
No, I like Aliens less.
Oh,
I think they're boring. They just don't. They're my husband's favorite movies. I've seen Alien in theaters 6 times, I think.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a lot for a movie you don't like.
We've been together 20 years.
Oh God, that's love.
It's commitment. Yep.
Ask me how many times he's seen A Nightmare on Elm Street. So
not
it
enough.
balances. No, there's no. That's going to lead me to something later. And then one last one. What's your favorite not scary movie?
Oh, okay.
So he's got 2 to answer.
Okay.
I will say, Robert Eggers doesn't really do it for me. So like people love The Witch, and that's one that for me I just found terribly boring. And I haven't even watched Nosferatu because of that. I was just like, I just know it's not going to do it for me. And I get that this is why I love horror. There's different strokes for different folks. Yeah. But that one for me is just like, it was a dud. Yeah. What was the second question?
What's your favorite
non-horror?
Oh my God. Okay. The first one that comes to mind is a rom-com, which is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh my God.
I love that movie so much. I've seen it so many times and it never gets old. And there's a direct reference to it in my Ren Fair book. I had the characters go to Bogey Lowenstein's party because I was like, I just want to give a shout out to my favorite.
I sold Meg Cat Stratford as a final girl.
Wait.
Cat Stratford is a final girl. I sold her as a final girl in a slasher. It's a home ec class that she accidentally ended up in, and people are getting murdered. Yes. Brian, you want to talk to me. You don't know how badly you want to talk to me.
So great. That's so fun.
My friend Coral, you could find her on YouTube at Pretty in Paper Cuts. She says, what's his favorite slasher movie kill, and what's his favorite kill that he's written?
Ooh. Oh, I meant to ask that. About the favorite kill. No, are you familiar with the Dead Meat YouTube channel?
Yes.
Golden Chainsaw, Dull Machete? What are yours?
Favorite slasher kill. Oh, I'm like, I want to do one for each franchise. I mean, like,
so go ahead.
Okay.
No one is going to stop you.
Thank you. All right. Freddy, I love in Dream Warriors the marionette kill. That still haunts me. It's so
Have you
disturbing.
seen the new Olivia Rodrigo music video?
No.
Watch it and tell me it doesn't remind you of that.
Well,
The Cure. There's a scene because it's about unraveling. So there's yarn, and there's a scene where yarn starts coming out of her fingers, and she's a nurse, like kind of walking down the hall just like that. It's even that green color, but hospitals are that green color. But it just reminds me so much of it.
She did like Death Becomes Her essentially as a music video with Sabrina Carpenter, right? Or wait, no, that wasn't her. That was Sabrina
Jenna
Carpenter
Ortega
and Jenny
Sabrina
Ortega.
Carpenter.
Damn it.
Yeah.
All
the little pop girlies now love horror. All of them do. They're all constantly referencing it. It's great. I have more.
Did you have more favorite kills, Brian?
Favorite Jason kill. Oh, I mean, the sleeping bag slammed against the tree. I do love that one. But also, I mean, they're all so good. He's so creative. I can't think of any more off the top of my head, though.
So what's your favorite of yours?
There's the sheriff in Candy Cane Kills has a very elaborate death that just goes longer and longer, and I enjoyed it.
That's so evil. No, I'm
I
just
know.
kidding.
It's like, that's a moment where I was like, I remember that I was like, oh, I don't have to worry about budget here. Let me just amp this up further and further.
That's great.
So what's your least favorite?
Least favorite of my own kills?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have any there.
Oh, come on.
Least favorite of my own kills?
I don't like the mirror kill in TLC. I don't like it. It's boring.
The which one?
The mirror, the broken mirrors.
Really? You don't like
Why?
that one? I like that one.
No, I cut it way down for the edit too.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like that one.
No. That's okay.
The old one still exists if you'd like to go read it.
Yeah, I know I have it, but I packed it away for movie. I'll read it later, another time.
Yeah.
I'll read the new one.
You got to do a side-by-side comparison of them.
Yeah. I can't. I love all my children.
Okay. All right.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have killed them if I didn't love them. Isn't that how love works?
It is.
It's the ultimate expression.
Okay. So now
Right.
I'm just going to name stuff that I like that I want to hear you talk about.
This is great.
I'm just sitting back listening
I'm
to the
going to start
conversation.
with a serious one because you're going to want to talk about this one, I think. Carol J. Clover's Men, Women, and Chainsaws.
Yes. That was instrumental for me. I think I can't remember if my brother had a copy or if I definitely read it in college for a class that I took on horror cinema. And it was such an important book of just reinforcing that, like, hey, no, horror is smart and horror is culturally important and relevant and is saying things and doing things. And that book was just such a huge affirmation for me. That and a book called Philosophy of Horror by Noel Carroll and Robin Wood, who was, I think, a Canadian film critic who talked about horror cinema and just repression and how it deals with all of these psychological and then a historical oppression. So yeah, all of those like horror theorists were so important to me to validate, like, no, this isn't some weird, gross indulgence. Like you're dealing with important topics that people just don't want to talk about.
Do you get upset when people call slashers sexist?
There's these weird, that's one of them. There's so many weird...
I knew that reading Curse of the Reaper. I
Yes.
knew. I could tell. I was like, well, he doesn't like that. He gets upset about that. That irritates him.
Well, there's these weird preconceived notions of slashers where like there's that puritanical idea that it's punishing teenagers for having sex and smoking weed and drinking, and like I understand where that idea came from, but it wasn't really all that present for a long time.
Nope.
It was just like became this like go-to talking point of what slashers are.
Well, there was a really famous movie you may have heard of that insisted that was one of the rules. And I
Yep.
think that's where that idea came from.
I agree. I don't think it really existed before that.
It didn't.
And that, yeah. So I think, Carol J. Clover really certainly spun that on its head. I remember she talked a lot about, was it Slumber Party Massacre, which was actually like written by a woman, and it was like already doing a great parody of slashers, like really early in the slasher genre.
The actual film as it is cut like to pieces, but it was much more self-aware, much funnier. And yeah, I love that series.
So good.
So much.
The driller killer one is so insane. I love it. Yeah.
The second one is just burned into my brain. I love the second one so much. It's the stupidest movie. It's
because then
stupid.
It dips into like Freddy territory, and there's
it's an Elm Street ripoff.
Exit stuff. Yeah.
And they don't ever really clearly define the rules, so you don't know why anything is happening, and it's just surreal. And it's like, okay, this is a drug trip. Just watch it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I like the first one more.
Most of the characters are looking directly into the camera when they're talking to you in the sequel. Yeah, it's great. I love that movie. Taylor Swift. Why is Taylor Swift out here inspiring multiple slasher novelists? What's that about?
See, okay.
I have my theories, but we're not interviewing me.
I love this. I do. I love Taylor Swift. So, and I will say that I became a fan through. Unfortunately, Ryan Adams has been revealed to be a piece of shit. So, just acknowledging that. But I grew up loving Ryan Adams, and he did the full cover album of 1989. And that was my entryway into being like, oh, okay, these are great songs, great lyrics. And then I listened to her album of 1989. And then in COVID, listening to Folklore, which like Aaron Dresner produced as well. And I was a big fan of The National, and everything just came together of like, okay, I love her as a songwriter. I love musically. I do think, and I know because she recently was talking a lot about this, that she was heavily influenced by like early aughts emo songwriting. And so I feel like that explains a lot of horror lovers loving Taylor Swift, is because it's also rooted in that angsty emo, like I could slit my throat and with my last gasping breath, I'd apologize for bleeding on your shirt. Like it's all mixed in this wonderful way. But there was StokerCon in Pittsburgh a few years ago. She was in town doing Eras Tour, and so the hotel was packed with horror writers and Swifties.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And it was the perfect, like the lobby was the perfect melting pot of like not clashing at all, but just being like people in like black gothic wardrobe and like Swifties in like glitter, and it was just wonderful.
I appreciate the Taking Back Sunday reference, though.
Thank you.
That's what her exact reference
That's my jam,
wasn't it? She quoted that exact thing in the interview.
I think she did. Yeah,
she did.
Yeah,
I've heard that recently. I've heard that line recently, and it was her mouth saying it.
I have tried to tell my wife she would like the lyrical content of my music because she loves Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So she listened to that Folklore album all the time.
Oh, it's so good.
I think she's strategically going after different groups of white women with each album.
Yes.
She got the goths with Reputation. That's where she got me. My best friend was a Swiftie, and it was the night that she dropped Look What You Made Me Do. And I was not, she was texting me and she was like, this song is terrible. And I turned it on and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. And we went to the Reputation tour and it was great. And I've been a fan ever since. And I love, because I like watching fandoms online. They're really fun to follow and watch them like worship a person and then turn on them. It's great to watch. Yeah. And I love watching the Swifties. Watching the Swifties is fun because they just run. It's a cult. It's wonderful.
Yep. I know, it's a whole thing where like people are like, but don't you know the lore behind this of like what? And I'm like, I don't know any of it and I don't care about any of it. I just want the music. Like I don't need to be that deep into it.
They get into it.
Just watch
they get
from
into
afar.
it. She plays it up though. Plays it up though.
Are you that way about all kinds of music or just Taylor Swift? Like you don't want to know the lore?
Yeah, I don't want to know the whole lore about most. I mean, I'm like my like top band, like 9 Inch Nails, probably all-time favorite band.
Trent Reznor.
I love. I think Trent Reznor is a musical genius. I just saw Jimmy Eat World at Red Rocks. That's another band that like, is instrumental for me.
See, I knew you had good taste, but
yeah, it's a little hard to swallow that Bleed American came out 25 years ago, but I wasn't mad to see the whole thing played front to back.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it wasn't. And the opening acts were the Get Up Kids and Sunny Day Real Estate. And it was just like a total throwback to like all the albums that, again, my older brother like handed me and was like, trust me. And I was like, oh.
I love that. Okay,
this one, I'm going out on a limb, but if you lived in LA for 10 years, come on. Hollywood Forever Cemetery screenings.
Yes. There was a 90s sleepover night. We didn't stay the whole night, but it was wait, was 10 Things I Hate About You? No, I'm trying to remember what. No. Scream was one of them. God, was it Clueless or 10 Things I Hate About You? Now I can't remember.
I remember they screened Clueless. I don't remember 10 Things I Hate About You.
And I went to a separate screening for Nightmare on Elm Street, which was...
Wait, at the cemetery?
Yep.
When?
This would have been...
Between 2010 and 2016?
Yep.
Yeah, we were at the same screening.
Oh my God.
For anyone who doesn't know what this is, there's a cemetery in Los Angeles where they project movies at night during the summers, and it's really, 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 really fun. I also got to see the band Garbage there right before Halloween one year. That was amazing.
Yes. I think the only concert I saw there was Lord Huron, which was great. But yeah, it's such a great spot to experience. Especially
it's really, really fun.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really fun.
I'm so jealous. There's nothing like that around here, ever. Maybe in Minnesota, but I doubt it. So no, I'm out of luck. But that sounds amazing.
Yeah. Here in Arizona, we have there's a year-round horror store called Terror Trader, and they host a weekly horror screening at a local theater called Spookorama. And so I've gotten to see... I went to a sold-out screening of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Tremors. Like seeing Tremors on the big screen with a full theater was so special because the joy, just the laughter and the joy, similar with Killer Clowns. But yeah, and they invited me to do a dual event where I sold books and we screened Misery, which again, seeing Misery with an audience is a whole different experience. It's
I love Misery.
So good.
I just watched it. It's so good.
Yeah. I love that movie.
It's so different after becoming a published author too.
Right?
Because I'd like to put the idea in your head that thousands of people have read our books, and one of them is probably that crazy, and maybe they didn't get obsessed with either of us, but someone that nutty has probably touched our writing. Thousands of people? Think about it.
Do you have a
closing? In
closing?
Trouble, because one of those is a porn link. It's pornpics.net. You're gonna get your ass in trouble.
Listen, I'm gonna get your ass in trouble. Who makes a .net these days? Fine.
I can't tell you the last time I went to
intentionally going after you.
Everyone's out to get you.
The only people going to .net are the ones who read Curse of the Reaper and checking out the link. So, all right, closing question for each of you. You want me to go first?
I can go if you want. I don't care.
Okay, Kelsi, go ahead.
I was any other dream settings for a future slasher? You've told us about July 4th teaser, but any other ones that you could maybe tease that you'd love to do?
I can't tease because I need to write them first, and I don't want anybody else to steal them.
I guess that's true.
I'm trying to think of what I can.
To be fair, if someone else stole them, it would be documented here that you were planning on doing it, and you could be like, "I did it first."
That's true, good. And I will say, like the 4th of July one, I haven't.
There's nothing original about it.
I haven't. Yeah, exactly. And I haven't talked about the setting, although I did tell Jessica about it. So shh.
I like it.
But I will say the book after the Ren Fair slasher is set in Ireland, based on I studied abroad in Ireland and had a wild experience there that I turned into a horror story. So I will be doing my own Irish.
That is exciting.
Folk horror slasher. Yeah.
You couldn't tell a more like perfect person about that. I freaking love Irish set horror, so that is so cool. I'm so excited. Yeah, buy right away. I would auto buy it.
It was very fun to dig into Irish folklore, and also just my experience of hanging out with how wonderful Irish people are, and that the balance of humor, like we were talking about, that balance of humor and horror. I feel like Irish people are like that's their sweet spot of just like the gallows humor. So yeah.
That's exciting. Yay. Thank you.
We get asked a lot of questions as writers about advice. What do you want to tell people to calm the fuck down about?
Oh, that's a great question. Calm down about.
I'll talk what you think. Mine's AI. It is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I think people need to, if we just ignore it, just fuck it. Why are we spending so much time talking about it? If we're not using it, why are we talking about it? Why are we summoning this demon?
I have the same approach to AI, which is that it bores me. Like, so I don't care. I don't have the energy to talk about it because
Exactly.
I have no interest in it. Like,
exactly.
This is something I always tell my students is like, the process is the point. Like, if you want to be a writer, you should be excited about the process of breaking down your story and figuring out your characters. And like, whenever everybody tries to counter of like, well, I just use AI to like bounce ideas off of, it's like,
why? Do you not have a friend?
Exactly. Like, get a friend, be a human being, find somebody to bounce ideas off of. And I know that's sometimes it's easier said than done, but not with social media these days. Like, you can find your people so much more easily. But yeah, and I think I guess another thing I would say is like, don't worry about chasing trends. Like, write the thing that you want to read. It's such an obvious piece of advice, but like, I don't know, when I wrote Curse of the Reaper, there wasn't a lot of slasher novels at the time, and I wasn't aware of like, is this a marketable thing? It was just like, this is the thing I want to write because it's the thing from my soul and it found its way. And I really do believe that if you write for yourself in that kind of joy, like write to entertain yourself first and foremost, and it will entertain other people. The number of people who have approached me at conferences and events and said like, I could tell that you were having fun writing your book. That is like, that's magic to me of like, it tells me that I'm doing the right thing because I'm writing from a place of joy, even when I'm brutally murdering people on the page. And that's the most important thing is like, you don't know how much time you have on this earth. So if you're waking up to work on a book, you better have fun doing it because what's the point otherwise?
All right, mine for you to kind of close it out, getting a little more on the serious side here. We talked about a lot of horror influences and things like that, but what motivates you daily, just out in your everyday life, not related to horror? What keeps you going? What inspires you?
That's a great question. Because these days it gets hard.
Well, and I think of it because you always, especially on social media, you're just so positive. You're so well spoken. And that, I love that. It's amazing. So I'm just kind of wondering where that inspiration comes from.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I would say that as far as the motivation goes, I will talk to like the habit of writing for me. Like, I'm a big proponent of like figuring out what works for you personally, because everybody's brains are different. Everybody's lives are different. For me, like writing first thing in the morning every day, when it becomes a habit, it gets easier to motivate myself to just do the thing. And then I feel good for the rest of the day knowing that I've done it. But as far as on a more kind of like philosophical level of just like, how do you get through it all, is just, I think often that without writing, I would be a much unhappier, more depressed person. I think for me, that creative outlet has become so cathartic. And I'm extra grateful that through publishing, I have reached readers and people who have become friends through these books who that's the joy of telling stories, is like, I have these weird thoughts and feelings. I'm going to put them into a story and put them out into the world. And then some stranger picks it up and is like, I too have thought and felt these things. Thank you for putting them into the world. And that's the goal for me of storytelling, is that we all feel a little less alone and a little less isolated. And that motivates me of just like, great, I want to write the next thing so I have a reason to go do another book tour, to go do another event, to go hang out with readers and writers and feel less alone, because that's what stories are for, are just ways that we get to connect about these things.
Love that. Excellent answer.
Okay, and then the last one. There's a saying that you only have to make two people happy. Your 8-year-old self and your 80-year-old self. Are they happy?
Oh my God.
I'd actually like to throw in your 18-year-old self.
Oh,
all three of them.
Yes. Okay. 8-year-old self was, I hadn't seen Scream yet, but I was watching Are You Afraid of the Dark and reading Goosebumps. And yeah, he would be pretty psyched. 18-year-old, I literally am living and have lived the dream of 18-year-old Brian, especially like I've had movies made that say written by me and TV shows. And I sold a TV show to Sci-Fi Network, which like I grew up watching Sci-Fi Channel. And now I'm writing horror books, writing slashers. Like 18-year-old Brian would be like, you've done it. 80-year-old me, I guess we'll see what happens for the next 50 years, 40. God, oh no, I don't have enough time. No, but I think 80-year-old me, as long as I keep leaning into kind of what I was talking about earlier, which is just like staying connected to community and having fun doing the things. And I'll get even sappier with it to wrap it up, which is that I think that the horror genre is not rooted so much in the dark emotions of like fear and terror and violence so much as it is like love and connection, because that to me, as we were talking about earlier, like it's all about how you get through that darkness. And to me, that's why horror people are the happiest people. Like every time I go to StokerCon, I just went to StokerCon in Pittsburgh. And as soon as I checked in at the front desk, the guy was like, "You here for that horror convention?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "You people are so nice." I was like, "Yeah, because we get it all out through the stuff we watch and read and write." And that's, to me, like that's why horror is the best genre, because we're working through this shit. We're not repressing. We're looking it directly in the face, and we're doing it together. So yeah, I
was always nice because I thought the person could be the one under the mask. But what you said's great. No, exactly. No, that's a great answer again. All right. Well, we've hit about an hour, so we're going to wrap this up. Brian, again, thank you so much for coming out, doing this, hanging out with us at the live episode, doing this interview here to highlight your work. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was an absolute treat. So I appreciate you bringing me back.
Do you want to reiterate where people can find you? I know you've mentioned your website. Where can they find you? When is that Ren Fair book going to be popping its head up?
Yes. So follow me on Instagram at Brian McWriter is the best way to keep track of what I'm up to. BrianMcWriter.com is my website. My next book, Fairly Bad Ways to Die, will be out April 6th, 2027. And I have a bunch of events coming up soon, including at the end of June, I will be at Creepaway Camp, which is a summer camp for horror writers and readers, where I will be a counselor and we'll be doing events throughout the week.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. But yeah, I've got other things in Dallas and North Carolina, New Mexico coming up. But yeah, if you follow me, you'll see all the details for that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And that is our second episode of Under the Knife. So Under the Knife with Brian McAuley. And that is where we highlight the creators that are doing awesome things in horror. So our first one was with director Morley Nelson. This one's with Brian. We'll see what the third one's going to be. But Brian, thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you so much for having me.
And then we will see you next time.